so as many of you all as possible, come on up here to the front and stand up here versus the exit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start off with a pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Please stand.
Hey, I need to get a break now.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now to the Texas flag.
I pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Ladies and gentlemen, this project is one of the biggest threats to Montgomery County. One, two. Is that better?
A lot better.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the biggest threats to Montgomery County that I have seen in many, many years. Not just West Montgomery County. And by the way, we have two appraisers here that will talk about the assessed valuation decreases. Once those decreases take place, if this train hits this route in Montgomery County, the entirety of Montgomery County will pay the tax differential to make up for the loss. It is extreme, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right to the program. And we have some elected officials. I want to really thank y'all for coming tonight. First, we have a statement to be read on behalf of our newest state senator, Brandon Creighton. I forgot who was going to read it.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to first thank all of you for coming out tonight. We got quite the turnout, so maybe if we can get y'all out to all the debates next election season, that would be nice. Okay, I have a statement from Senator Creighton. He could not make it tonight. He really would have liked to have been here in front of you and spoken the words himself. But he had to say on this topic, the federal government has reached a new low in their regards for states' rights. The Dallas-Houston high-speed rail proposed by the Texas Central Railway threatens to confiscate up to 3,000 acres of Texas land and won't provide any opportunity for economic growth in our district. Without allowing input from local elected officials and hearing the voices of Montgomery County residents, I have no choice but to oppose this proposal. Texans stand together. And as Texans who own property in Montgomery County, we should all know that we won't have to face the federal government alone. As a native Texan, a rancher, and a firm believer in private property rights, Senator Creighton stands with Texas landowners. His office is working hard to bring federal, state, and local officials together, along with community leaders, to stay engaged and involved in the issue until our community can be assured this project will be beneficial to the families of Southeast Texas or stopped in its tracks. Thank you all.
Next, we have our newest state representative. We have quite a few new state reps. Mark. Please welcome State Representative Will Metcalf.
Thank you all very much for being here tonight. Missed session to be here with you this evening, and Mark Keogh just drove in. Mark, thank you for being here. And all I can say is this is amazing. I'm personally not a happy camper right now for the way that TCR has a lack of transparency in this process. I first found out about this a few weeks ago, right after the first of the year, and in my opinion, that's not okay whenever other officials in the federal government have known about this for a while. I believe that local officials and state officials should have known before this all was coming. So appreciate everybody who was involved in getting this meeting together tonight. And I'll give you a little update from what I know. First of all, one of the first meetings I had as an elected official was with TCR, and his name was Mr. Travis Kelly. He was their Vice President of Government Relations. And he came to my office about 2 weeks ago, and it was a bunch of stuff I already knew. He didn't tell me anything I didn't already know by the research that me and my staff have already done. So that meeting did not go very well. And, needless to say, they're moving forward, and we need your help. This is a federal issue. I would love to stand here and say, look, you elected me, you elected Senator Nichols, Senator Creighton, Representative Keogh, Representative Bell, and we can stop this train. But we're going to do our best. If we pass the law tomorrow, we believe that federal law would preempt this. But we're going to do our best. We're there to fight for y'all. We're going to do everything we can. But we made 300 copies of a handout that we gave out tonight, and Angela, my district director, said that we ran out a long time ago. But at the bottom of that sheet gives an update of what we're all doing, but at the bottom of that, it says who we need to contact. And I'm just telling you something, guys. Montgomery County, we're all joined together. We're unstoppable. So this is the beginning. I appreciate everybody who's being here tonight, but having said that, we need to call Congressman Brady's office. We need to call Senator Ted Cruz's office and Senator John Cornyn's office, because this is at the federal level. Another issue I have, besides a lack of transparency in this, is they have eminent domain power. And I personally do not believe that private enterprise should have eminent domain power. This is scary, and this goes to show you how important the 10th Amendment is. The Federal Railroad Administration is maybe possibly going to stamp their seal of approval of this project. After it goes to the Federal Railroad Administration, it's going to go, they're going to put up an environmental impact statement for the two proposed routes. One route is right through our heartland. Another one misses Montgomery County entirely. After that, after the project is finalized, it goes to the Surface Transportation Board at the federal level. That is where the eminent domain power comes into effect. So, but don't wait for that. That is going to happen. If things start moving, keep moving the way they are, that will be mid to late of 2016. That's too soon, but I don't want this at all, in my opinion. So get your congressmen and your senators up now, because it's never too early to start. In regards to the 10th Amendment, I talked about this a lot during my campaign, and we're living it here today. This is why we're in this room today, because the federal overreach, they're bypassing us at the state, the county, and that is not okay. The 10th Amendment is something for states' rights, and they're just bypassing us. That is not okay. I believe in private property rights, and as I said before, private enterprise should not have eminent domain power that only benefits a select few. Again, thank you for being here tonight, and my phone number and information is out there. We made 300 copies, and I'm so sorry we didn't make 500. But this is great. Thank you all for being here. We're going to do everything we can to stop this thing, but as I said, this is a great start, and a united Montgomery County can help stop this fight.
Thank you, Will. One thing that scares me about this project is what the TCR has going for them. Number one, they have $10 billion in the bank. Number two, they have the right of eminent domain already. Number three, the Obama administration is in short behind this project. They want to see high-speed rail in the United States of America.
Boo!
Yes. But like Representative Metcalf said, if we stand together, we will win in Montgomery County. We are too strong. We have great elected officials. We have strong elected officials. We will stand firm. Next, we have State Representative Mark Keogh. Please welcome him.
I came here tonight, we left the House of Representatives early. The Breeding family, you should know, is grieving tonight over the loss of their daughter, first responder, 21-year-old. We were at the viewing this evening, and I know that your hearts are with them as well. So Jason, my chief, and I, we came over here, and the purpose of our visit was I'm in House District 15. I'm right next to you. And what I have found since taking office, the relationship that we have with Cecil, with Will, Craig, Commissioner Nowak, the others, first responders, the police, Montgomery County, as you said it, will not let this happen. This is unbelievable what has taken place. And I'm here today as just to show you that there is other groups that are not immediately affected by this, that are done with the government overreach. One of the reasons why I ran, why Cecil has done this, why your representatives have your senators, and we are here and we're with you tonight. That's why we came here. Thank you all very much.
Next, we have with us the newest county judge in Montgomery County. His name happens to be County Judge Craig Doyal, who took my place.
Thank you all for being here tonight. And anybody that says that people don't care what happens in their community hasn't been in Montgomery, Texas. We're proud to see each and every one of you here. I'm proud to stand and give yourselves a hand for being here. I'm proud to stand with each and every one of the elected officials that are here tonight in opposition to this project. We've got letters that were signed by all of our legislative delegation. We've got resolutions passed by our Commissioners Court in opposition to this project. You know, the concern I have is a project like this can come through and cut private property, can cut ranch land in half, can create obstructions for us as we build roads in the future. They say no tax dollars will be involved. That's not true because we have to cross that line. It's going to cost you and I that much more money to cross a project like this. So you will find that there's plenty of opposition here in Montgomery County. We're going to do everything that we can working together. It makes me proud to see our entire Commissioners Court is here tonight. And everyone else. Representative Keogh said this project may not touch each and every one of them, but it touches you, so it matters to us. So we're going to work hard every day. We're going to ask you to start writing letters and making contacts, just like we will together, to make sure that we do everything we can to ensure that Montgomery County stays strong, that we protect the natural beauty that is Montgomery County, and we protect the private property rights as we know. So thank you for being here tonight. We're going to work hard every way we can to protect you, and I look forward to working hand in hand with the rest of these guys to make sure this project goes another point. Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Judge, would you support Montgomery County hiring attorneys we needed to help, help fight this issue?
We'll put our county attorneys on that.
And then the next thing, it was mentioned earlier, if this thing does go through by some chance, have you started making some kind of plans of how you're going to replace these lost revenues from all these property values that go down?
Well, our first round is going to make sure it doesn't get here.
Well, I'll go with that.
Next, we have a longtime commissioner that I had the privilege of working with for 22 years. Please welcome Commissioner Mike Meador.
We're proud. You mess with Montgomery County, is what you get, right? I want to thank, I don't even know who to thank for putting this together tonight. The contact that I've had is Judy Foster. I know the Hanovers were involved. I know I'm leaving a lot of people out because it's a huge effort. But I really, really appreciate you taking the effort to put this together and bringing this to the forefront of everybody's attention.
I follow a lot of good speakers and leaders. They've said most of it. This is a project that kind of came up out of nowhere, but we've not been still. Commissioner's Court, and again, I'm like Craig, Judge Doyal is now. The whole court team, I mean, East County, South County, West County, everybody's here. We're all against this thing, we're all for you. But the court did pass a resolution, not necessarily opposing the project. It told them that we didn't think it was a project that we could support. I think maybe we need to pass a new resolution, toughen it up a little bit. And Judge Doyal and I did send a letter out, and obviously we sent it to our representatives, our state senators. They're already on board, we know that. Our federal folks, senators, congressmen, that's the ones that we need to talk to. Our state legislators, they're with us all the way. I'll give you an idea. Here's the letter. Matter of fact, this was to Michael Johnson, lead environmental protection specialist from the Federal Railroad Administration. Dear Mr. Johnson, the letter was the same to everybody. We need your help. It's apparent that the Texas Central Rail project high-speed train from Houston to Dallas could become a reality. One of the routes slashes through Montgomery County in the western part of my precinct. The very idea that this project could possibly cut one of the fastest growing counties in the nation in half is insane. The negative impact from this most egregious project to Montgomery County and the constituents that will be affected is immeasurable. Growth will be stymied, property values will be affected, peaceful community quality of life will suffer greatly. We are your constituents and we need your help. Please assist us in stopping this project before it devastates one of the premier counties in the nation. This give you an idea of what we need to do. We need to wear them out. We need to fill up the mailbox. We need to fill up their email list. We need to be in. We let them know that we're aware. We know what's going on. And it is. I know it is a federal project, but they still listen to constituents. So, and we need to speak, and we need to speak very loudly. Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, are the other counties having protest meetings like this, or is it just Montgomery County and Grimes?
Well, that's an interesting comment, and I know Grimes County has. But they had public meetings. They had public meetings put on by the Railroad Commission, or the federal government. And that's part of the process that's flawed here. It's a huge project. A big part of it's environmental. Part of the environmental assessment project or process is public awareness, it's public meetings. We've not had one in Montgomery County. They had one in Tomball. That's not Montgomery County. That's Harris County. So that's a little thread maybe we can pick at to give us some time to react strongly, as I know we will. And again, thanks for...
There's groups already organizing up in Grimes and Leon County. I'm not saying people being gathered by public officials, but they've taken themselves from those meetings and now they've organized as groups to do all the things that have to be done to protest. Now, first thing, the budget went up to the hill today. You take the money out of the budget, they don't do the project. So think about that when you write to your representatives. Get the whole Texas delegation against it, or at least the Republicans.
Thank you. Thank you for your attendance tonight.
If you all would, please hold your questions till after the speeches. The speeches should be brief. We'll have plenty of time for questions. Next, probably the commissioner that it affects the most. It cuts through the entirety of Commissioner Precinct 2, probably more than anybody. Please welcome Commissioner Charlie Riley.
I want to thank everybody for being here. What a crowd. You know, I have not been in office very long, but I have been involved in Montgomery County for a long time, and I do know if you mess with Montgomery County or the folks in Montgomery or around Magnolia, you're going to get pushed back. I can promise you that. And we are going to push back. You know, Commissioner Meador said it a while ago, and Judge Sadler just got through saying, this thing runs right through the middle of my precinct, and I have not even had the courtesy of a phone call or any kind of acknowledgement from these folks. They have not tried to get a hold of us that I know of at any time. So whatever we need to do to stay united, to stay strong, I guarantee you, whatever it takes, we will support anything we got to do to make sure this doesn't happen. I'm in Magnolia. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do anything I can to help anybody in Montgomery County. And let's stay strong and let's keep pushing back. That's what it's going to take. Thank you.
Next, we have the commissioner from the Woodlands, Precinct 3. It doesn't really go through the Woodlands, but it goes right next to the Woodlands. Please welcome Commissioner James Nowak.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And as Judge Doyle mentioned, just it's a good feeling to have the whole court up here together, showing a united front against this sort of what I would consider an attack. First thing I want to do is, Mike, I want to second your motion to oppose this rail, and we need to get that done right away. Next question I have is, where are those individuals that are leading this charge? Have you seen them here today? Is anybody here to listen to you? No. And that's the same type of response that we're getting. I want to know where they are, and I want them to understand that we believe in private property rights, and we're going to do everything we can to fight for you and keep your land in your family's name. How many of you have worked that land for generations, or you've owned it for years and years? Raise your hands, come on. Are we going to let somebody take our land? In the United States of America, and even more so in the state of Texas, we've got to stand up and we've got to show them that we know how to fight. This is nothing more than a land grab, which is going to take the land that our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents worked with their hands, and it's something that this community is not going to stand for. This also, it smells to me like just another boondoggle in the making. It smells private venture that is soon going to be deemed for public good, wanting to use your tax dollars. They're going to want our land and they're going to want our tax dollars for something that is going to benefit very few. So I'm proud to stand here with you today and join the fight to protect your property rights and to protect your tax dollars. And we'll do whatever we can to try to make certain that this train stops in its tracks. Thank you.
Another one of the new commissioners. It's been a friend of mine since 1992. From Precinct 4, please welcome Commissioner Jimbo Clark.
Sorry I'm running late, but East Montgomery County is way over there. So, you might ask what I would, Commissioner that is so far on the other side of the county, I've got more important things to do. And I'll tell you, the concerned citizen of East Montgomery County is pretty important. But I sent a representative to speak at my place tonight because I feel so strongly about this issue. And I'm just here to tell you folks, I'm begging you, don't think my neighbor will do it. A lot of you are going to leave here fired up. A lot of you are going to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I want you to promise me that you'll get out. It's hard to think about getting out a pen and paper anymore. We've got emails and all that stuff, but I want you to write letters. I want you to make the phone calls. I want you to send emails. I want you to inundate these people and let them know that Montgomery County is not going to allow the high-speed rail through our county. One of the practices I took on early in my business career was took the advice of one of our founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, and he'd take out a piece of paper and he'd draw a line down the middle of it. And on one side he would put all the reasons for, on the other side he'd put the reasons against, then he'd weigh it out. There's about 7 sheets of paper here, folks. And I've got a whole bunch against, and I can't think one reason for. Let's stop this.
we have two appraisers here. Actually, we had the chief appraiser of the Montgomery County Appraiser District that will speak very briefly on the economic impact of appraised values. Mark Kessler-Schultz, where are you? Please welcome Mark Kessler-Schultz.
Well, it's not too often that I get invited someplace. This is kind of different. But it's early, is my wife. Value loss from any and all causes is what we're going to see here. We've already lost value by perception that this is going to go through. How much? It's almost immeasurable. You're going to have Mike Bowden talk to you a little bit later about what he's found out about what can happen. We're going to see value loss from current projects. We're going to see value loss from future projects. And you and I, and I'm a taxpayer too, we're all going to pay for that. It's going to shift the tax burden to every single citizen in Montgomery County due to the loss of initial value and the loss of future value of development. It's going to cost us to take care of the roads, ingress and egress to properties that have been split. That's also going to affect the value. How much? We're just now looking into that to try and get some numbers. Mike's had a little bit of a head start on us, but we're doing the same work that he's doing to try and identify that loss. How much could it be? The best method to identify loss is matched sales. A sale of a property before the event and a sale of property after the event. The problem is we're talking a lot of large properties. We don't know what their future worth is. But I can assure you that if this goes through, it will be substantially less than it could have been. And that's lost tax dollars, lost value, which equates to lost tax dollars, which we're going to have to pull out of our pockets. I am a taxpayer, first and foremost. I'm a husband, a father, a Christian, but I pay taxes. And the first person that calls me every year is my wife. I don't know why her value is. That's the truth. I'll tell you like I told her, I don't know what those people at the appraisal district are doing. But in all seriousness, we are going to see value loss. How much? We'll find out as we go through the process. But the best way to ensure we don't have value loss is to do the same thing I do every Monday morning to my elected officials in Washington. I send them an email, and I let them know how disappointed I am with them, or how proud I am of them. I do that every Monday morning without fail. And as I walk through the office, talking to staff, and they complain about things, I ask them one thing: have you let somebody know? And if you haven't, then sit down, go to work. But let them know. And that's everybody's responsibility here tonight. I wish I had more information, but I'm trying to keep it short. Thank you very much.
I'll make this kind of note. 802 people walked through the door tonight. Thank you all for coming. We expected 300. In fact, we hoped for 300. Next, we have another appraiser, a well-known residential appraiser here in town. Please welcome Mike Bowden.
Well, I'm the guy that you always call if you need an appraisal, like taxes, get a refinance, estimate your values because you don't know where they are. But in this case, I just want to give you an idea about what I think is going to happen. I've been here 30 years appraising my office in the Woodlands. I'm born and raised in Conroe. Live right out here. Been out in y'all's area for all these 30 years. But here's this eminent domain issue. What's going to happen is, first off, and I think we need to find the answer to this, is how they're going to take the land under eminent domain. What are they going to take? I've been in touch with appraisers in California. In Fresno, they are now working and have approved a high-speed rail that's going to go up from Fresno to San Francisco, some of you are nodding your heads, and down to LA. And they are taking the land now. They are not taking the right-of-way for the train. They're taking all the land on either side. Now, I don't know if that's what's going to happen here, but I think we need to find out. I talked to Mark about it, and if they're just going to take the right-of-way for X amount of feet and maybe a little extra buffer area, or in California, one of my appraisers here, Eric, he has already checked this out, large tracts, like 20, 30, 40 acres on either side, and then what are they doing with it? They're taking what they need for the rail, they're taking the buffer zone, the excess land that they took, which is yours, is then auctioned off. These are facts, this is what's going on there. That's a government issue. This is government related but private funding. So, you know, that's why I say it's important to find out on your land, what is it they're going to actually take? And that's how it's going to affect the appraised value. If we come in and do an appraisal for you to contest the value that they give you under eminent domain, we're going to need to know what they took. And if you have any residual. Say you got 40 acres in a house and they take 33 and leave you 7. What's that do to the whole thing? So it's complicated. Every appraisal that we do, if we do some for you, will be specific to your own needs, but you'll need to know what they're taking and how it's going to have a proximity to your home, whether it's going to cut it down the middle, flip it on the side. Eminent domain, what are they going to do? They're going to come to you, they're going to give you an offer. There's going to be an appraiser come from the railroad company and give you an offer. Then you're going to look at it. If you don't like it, then you have to call me or somebody like me to come out and do appraisal of the property under question. Then you go to get the appraisal, you take it to a mediation, and you mediate. Now you say, I'm not going to settle, I want this amount. What Mike gave. I don't want what they gave. Then they're going to condemn your property. And that is when you're going to have to take the offer and then get your money and sue for the difference that you think is there. Now, if anybody has a better explanation of this, speak up, because this is the way I understand it to be. On my team that I have put together to try to help everybody here, that's why we're here. I've got a commercial appraiser, I've got an attorney, I've got 2 or 3 appraisers on my staff, and we're here to help you. But that's under the assumption that we can't stop it. Because if you can't, this is what's going to happen, and you're going to have to get an appraisal, you're going to have to look at the process, you're going to see what they take. But I think for the county commissioners, the biggest and important point here is that we need to figure out or get an answer from them as to what they're taking and how they're taking it. So that's extremely important to the overall valuation of each individual property in here, is to find out what they're taking. Then left over would be the proximity of your improvements, the residual land. And there is also one other point, I'll be brief here, but there's one more. It's called inverse condemnation. What that means is that they take your land and your brother's land is right next door to yours, but they didn't take it. But it's directly affected by the overall taking of your land, the value line. Inverse condemnation, there's a condemnation factor that is legal there, and they have to go and negotiate that with the same people that took your land even though they didn't take their land. So, I'm not a lawyer, don't take me as legal advice here. My data's pretty accurate. Check this out. And if you have any questions, we've got an appraiser here with me, and anybody else here hopefully can answer some questions. But we're here to help you. I've got cards, I've got a flyer back there. If you need any information, you can start to pick up the phone and call me. But not good news, but that's the way I see it, okay?
I've got one quick question for Mike. I know this is out of line, but I'm running the show. Mike, what do you see as, talking to the appraisers in California, what did you see in the range of the decrease in value?
Well, they haven't got to the point. They haven't got to the point yet of being able to determine it because of exactly what these officials were talking about. That they do not have a data set, what Mark was talking about, to extract a supportable, credible loss in value in regard to their appraisal districts out. They did say that the appraisal districts were not prepared to come in and do the assessments. They're delayed. They're trying to get their act together. But they didn't take the proper procedures to get ready for it if it happened. And they fought it out there too. But it happened. That is a government organization. But as for valuations here, it could be zero if you have a leftover landlocked tract. It could be 75, 80%. It may not be very much at all. It depends on your individual property and how that property is affected, the configuration, access, things that we've talked about here. And Mark, you can back me up on all of this, on how we come in and take a look at these values. And each person's property here is going to have a different scenario, different outcome, and different scope of work in order to produce a value. Every one of it, whether it's commercial, residential. One other point, since one other point. Now, in California, what they did, they took city blocks, or they go out in the country too, but they started in a little town, Fresno, and they've got a city block with a whole bunch of businesses here and a whole bunch over here. And they take all of it. They will run the train here. But these businesses have got through streets for access to the front of the business. Now with the train coming down the middle, the through street is now a cul-de-sac and a dead end. So even if they didn't take it and it was on the end down here, the through street people aren't coming down there like they used to, so you have a loss in business as a residual because of the fact you don't have a street down there. You can't go through it anymore. So, but to answer your question, it's hard to figure out exactly how it's going to work on each person's value, but I expect it to be significant in many cases. Okay?
Thank you. Next we have Jennifer Lorenz with the Bioland Conservancy. Jennifer, where are you?
I want to first say that I'm not a Montgomery County resident, but I'm a fifth-generation native Texan, and I have to tell you that I can't be here on behalf of my organization today to say that we are against high-speed rail. What I am here tonight to tell you is that we are stakeholders in this county through this area because we have what are called conservation easements all over this area, including on Lake Creek. And so what we do is we permanently protect land forever. That is our mission, and we are the largest regional, what's called a conservation easement holder in the entire state of Texas. Much of this land is along the Spring Creek Greenway, which, in case you didn't know, is the longest urban forested contiguous greenway in the entire country. So you can imagine if this is going to cross any of that, we're going to have something to say about it, not just because we care about wildlife habitat or protection of wetlands, but Bioland Conservancy has tied up millions of dollars of what's called wetland mitigation. So if you impact wetlands somewhere, which by the way, this high-speed rail would absolutely be affecting unbelievable amounts of wetlands. If you do that, you have to mitigate. So we have pulled and pooled millions of dollars into this region. And one of the things that we can tell you, and I can feel very strongly telling you here, we are wetland experts. And I have personally been all over thousands of acres, from Angelina County to Galveston County, Robertson County to Jefferson County. And what you have here in this area, particularly along Lake Creek, are some of the most important wetlands in the state of Texas, right here. You have 200, and this is important information for all of you. We have fought and won, by the way, eminent domain cases across some of our conservation easements in other areas, so you should know this. Having us as a partner with you is key, because we are all about the environmental impacts. All of you here today care very much about your own personal land and your neighbors, and you should. But there's a bigger picture here that I would love for you to all think about as you're writing your letters, which is the environmental impact, that environmental assessment that needs to go, which is to say, is this the best place to go? We have already written our letters which say no. And one of the main reasons we say that is there's 13 watersheds that feed Lake Houston, 13 of them. It's one of the biggest watershed regions in the entire country. 13 watersheds, one of them is Lake Creek. Out of the 13 watersheds that feed Lake Houston, Lake Creek is the only clean water source pouring down. It's the only one. Right there, in our estimation, was one of the main reasons that this should not go through here. E. coli. It's hard to say this word in a room of 800 people, but the word is E. coli, and you need to write it down. E. coli is what is in all of these other watersheds. The other 12, okay, that are feeding Lake Houston, they're all high. They're all pinging super high for lots of reasons. And here, Lake Creek, because of its very, very, very wide floodplain, right? You don't have a skinny floodplain. It's really wide. So for lots of reasons, we know that that's clean, but we also think it's because of lots of people in this room, particularly those wearing hats, that are working their land properly and taking care of it. That's one of the reasons it's so clean. So we believe that rural land ownership is incredibly important. I know that many of you did not get the sheet, and I can tell you that I definitely underestimated how many brochures to bring. This is on our website. If you didn't get our name, please write it down. All of the information, you can contact us. It's bayoulandconservancy.org. We have both public, Judge Sadler knows that we have an easement in his area. We are going to fight tooth and nail if this is going to plow through that, because it was donated to the county for wetland mitigation, and it's our job to protect it forever. But if you're a private landowner, we wrote a letter for our private landowner who got one of these letters. We banged that out in 2 days. We would be happy, even if you don't have a conservation easement on your land, and we would be happy to help you get one on your land. If you don't, please write us, and we will help give you the words that these folks need to see, because it does need to be environmental assessment. Thanks.
Great information, by the way. Kyle Workman he started the Against High-Speed Rail effort in the state of Texas. Kyle, welcome.
Good evening. I certainly don't deserve that distinction, but I guess I'll take it. And I certainly couldn't do it without my lovely wife over here, who does a lot of the research for me. What I'd like to do real quick is run through a few things and share our thoughts, and then we'll move on to the question and answer a bit. First of all, the purpose of No Texas HSR, which is the website that my wife and I administer, is to gather and disseminate information. Just like you, we found out about this late in the process. The information has obviously been unclear. I think you're all familiar with that. And so we've been doing what we can to try to coagulate that information into a method and a madness to it so that you can understand it. And we try to do the best we can with our blog to share kind of the read between the lines stuff. Also, we are supporting local opposition efforts all over the place. And to answer one of the questions we got earlier, from Ellis County down to Montgomery County, there's not very many people that are for this project. So we all need to stand together. And that's one of the things I wanted to share is that we need to stand together. I know you guys are focused on Montgomery County, but if it's not good for Montgomery County, it's not good for anyone. Okay? And I live in Leon County, and I don't want this going through my property anymore, and I want it to go through your property. And so I think one thing that's